Victoria from BiblioLifestyle, and you're listening to the Reader's Couch podcast, the show that will help you bridge the gap between living a full and busy life to one where you're reading, learning new things, and having fun. In today's episode, I will be sharing 8 new books across genres to read this summer. So if you're looking to add some great books to your TBR, stay tuned. Hi there, could you do me a favour really quick? Would you pretty please subscribe to the show, leave me a 5-star rating if you like it, and share an episode or two with your bookish friends? Better yet, if you could drop a link to the show or to your favourite episode in your book club or bookish group chat, that works too. I promise it only takes a few seconds, it really helps the show, plus I'll be incredibly grateful for it. So thanks in advance, and now on to the episode. Well, hello there and welcome to another episode of the Reader's Couch podcast. Today, I will be sharing 8 new books from across genres to read this summer. So, if you're looking to add some great books to your TBR, this episode is just for you. Now, these 8 books that I'll be sharing with you today are from the 2023 BiblioLifestyle Summer Reading Guide. So if you're hearing about the BiblioLifestyle Summer Reading Guide for the first time, it's a free downloadable PDF guide that I create, and I share some of the best new books that are coming out this season, along with fun things to do, recipes, reading and lifestyle tips, plus lots more. So if you're hearing about it for the first time, if you haven't already, visit thesummerreadingguide.com to download your free copy of the 2023 Summer Reading Guide. That's the word summerreadingguide.com for your free copy of the 2023 Summer Reading Guide. But don't worry if you're not able to visit that link right now. I've included a link in the show notes so you can sign up there. And in this guide, you'll find the 8 books that I'm talking about today. Because in the guide, there are 8 categories, and I've selected one standout book from each category to share with you today. And that's also the book I've selected and included in the Minimalist Reads list. So in the Summer Reading Guide, you'll find the Minimalist Reads list, and there you'll find the 8 books. So in today's episode, I'm sharing the 8 books with you today. I'll be sharing a very short and quick elevator pitch because I'm notoriously bad at spoiling books, and I really don't want to do that to you. So it's a really short elevator pitch. However, I've also made a list of books that are similar to the books I'm recommending for you today. So if you are maybe on the fence about this book, I'm going to give you some books that they are similar to, so you'll get some great books-like recommendations as well. So you might have come here for 8 books, but your TBR is going to explode. Alrighty, so let's get into the books. The first book I'll be sharing with you today is my literary fiction pick, and the book I'm recommending you read this summer is The Three of Us by Ore Ebage Williams. Now, this book was released in the US on May 16th, 2023, so this book is available now. You can get your hands on a copy. And the elevator pitch for this book is 1, it's set over the course of one day, and it asks the question, what would you do if your partner and your best friend hated each other? And in the novel, we see what happens when their fraught relationship reaches a breaking point. I absolutely adored this book. I love books set over the course of one day. It's also fun when said book can be read over the course of one day, and this book is just that. It's really short, borderline novella, but it's really, really good. I would say if you've read and loved His Only Wife by Peace Adzo Medea, I think you'll enjoy this one. I also think you'll love this one if you read Assembly by Natasha Brown. I recommended this book, I think it was fall 2021 for the fall reading guide. Absolutely adored this book. If you read that book, I think you'll also appreciate this one if you loved it. Oh, another book. All right, so this is kind of a slightly different genre. However, if you read and appreciated My Sister the Serial Killer, I think you'll love this book as well. And My Sister the Serial Killer is by Oyinkan Brathwaite. So if you've read either of those three books, Assembly by Natasha Brown, His Only Wife by Peace Adzomidere, My Sister the Serial Killer by Oyinkan Brathwaite, I think you'll enjoy The Three of Us by Ore Abaj Williams. Plus, I had an interview with Ore on the podcast. It's a spoiler-free episode, so give it a listen. I think she'll also do an amazing job at selling this book to you. So, book number 1 on the list is The Three of Us by Ore Abaj Williams. Okay, book 2 on the list is my historical fiction selection. Now, before I share this book, I just want to say it's not a World War I or II book. And I want to challenge traditional historical fiction readers with this one. It's so good. This is what happens when an author takes a little known fact in history and weaves an absolutely beautiful tale. And the book I'm recommending you read is The Disenchantment by Celia Bell. Now, this book is set in 17th century Paris, and it's set during the Affair of the Poisons, which is a very real thing, by the way. And we see how a passionate love affair between two noblewomen is threatened of being exposed due to one of their husbands' murder. Now, the main characters that are centered in this book are, again, real people. One is Marie-Catherine d'Aulnoy. She was unhappily married to the Baron du Châteauneuf, and she escapes and she finds love and happiness with Victoire du Conti. They're both writers, they're absolutely in love with each other, and the Baron thinks she's having an affair with a man, but it's not the man. He confronts his wife about it. Unfortunately, the husband dies, and the chief of police, who, by the way, chief of police, very real person in that time, he immediately suspects Marie-Catherine, and it's just all hell breaks loose. But also during this time, priests, fortune tellers, sorcerers, members of the nobility are being accused of, dealing in spells and poisons. I mean, it's called The Affair of the Poisons. So I absolutely loved how the author just took this little known fact in history and just gave us this really beautiful book. So if you're interested in anything 17th century Paris, the nobility at the time, and the Affair of the Poisons, this book is just for you. I would say if you read Hamnet by Maggie O'Farrell, if you read briefly A Delicious Life by Nell Stevens, which was also a book I recommended, I think that was last summer, so summer 2022, I think you'll really enjoy this one. Another good book would be The Mercies by Kiran Millwood Hargrave. Wonderful book. I think if you want to read something that's outside the traditional historical fiction, I highly recommend you give The Disenchantment by Celia Bell a go. All right, book 3 on the list is my books with themes of family and friendship. This one I think you might be familiar with because it has been recommended in the Book of the Month box, and I think some other outlet is promoting it. I don't remember, but I really enjoyed this book. It was so well done, and it's The Collected Regrets of Clover by Mickey Brammer. Now, this book was published May 9th, 2023, so again, available now for you to get your hands on a copy. And this book is a very inspirational but also life-affirming story. And it tells the story of a woman who's a death doula, who's kind of living her life in isolation, but she discovers that in order to care for others, she too must also open up and let herself be cared for too. Again, just really inspirational, really life-affirming. I enjoyed it it. I thought it was very well done. And if I had to think of a book to comp it to, I thought immediately about a book I read last year. I think it was a celebrity book club pick as well. Remarkably Bright Creatures by Shelby Van Pelt. If you love that kind of, life-affirming story, this book is for you. Also, another one, We Are the Brennans by Tracy Lang. I think that's how you say her name. But yeah, just incredibly good. I enjoyed this book. It was different, but it was good. And again, it's The Collected Regrets of Clover by Mickey Brammer. All right, book 4 on the list is a non-fiction selection, and this one is a memoir. Now, in the guide, I have some true crime, some investigative pieces, really good stuff in there. I also have another memoir, but this one stood out to me in a really great way. And this book is entitled George by Frida Hughes. Now, some of you might recognize the name Frida Hughes. She's a poet, she's a painter, and more famously, she is the daughter of Sylvia Plath and Ted Hughes. And I really enjoyed her memoir, George. And it's a story of her really just chronicling her journey, how in the wake of just, going through a time of sadness and loss, she found meaning and purpose in caring for a baby bird, in caring for a baby magpie, a wild magpie, by the way, that she found one spring day. And when you read her story, you just realize how her obsession with said magpie just completely change and alter the course of her life. It was just a really heartwarming read for me, and I highly recommend it. I would say if you like reading books about animals and humans with animals, or just animals themselves, I think you'll enjoy this one. So I immediately thought of On Animals by Susan Orlean. Immediately thought of that one. Also, Vesper Flights by Helen MacDonald. I think if you've read either of those two books, I think you'll really enjoy this one. And even if you haven't, you don't have to read the books that I'm saying they're similar to, but, it's just to kind of give you an idea of what you're going into. But I really enjoyed this book, highly recommend it. I hope you give it a go. So if you're looking for a non-fiction book, I highly recommend you select George by Frida Hughes. Okay, we're at the halfway point. Book 5 on my list is the mystery and thriller selection. And it's super hard to talk about mysteries and thrillers without spoiling them. But the book I'm going to share with you, I absolutely loved. I thought the author did an amazing job with their first book, Falling. I think it's their first book. Anyway, it's the first book I read, Falling. And now book 2 is entitled Drowning. And I think they did an amazing job. And the book is entitled Drowning, and it's by T.J. Newman. Now, this book was released on May 30th, 2023, so again, available for you to get your hands on a copy right now. And this book tells the story of a plane that makes an emergency landing in the Pacific Ocean after the engine explodes. So I think you probably shouldn't read this one when you're in the air or you're about to travel. This is something you want to read when your feet are firmly planted on land. But yeah, it's about a plane making an emergency landing in the Pacific Ocean after an engine explodes. But then it sinks with passengers who are alive and they're trapped inside. And now it's up to the rescuers to save them before they sink to the point of no return. Because they're kind of like, I guess you could call that an ocean cliff. So it's within range for folks to dive and save them. However, if it sinks further, that's beyond the point of return. So, we're racing against the clock to save these people. There's obviously a rescuer who has a relationship with a person trapped inside, but I'm not going to go into those details. I'm just going to say this was incredibly good. Pulse pounding, page turning. It gave everything you want in a mystery or a thriller. Now, when I was thinking of comparisons, I immediately thought about the author's previous book that I absolutely loved, which was Falling. So really loved that one. But outside of that author, I would say The Woman in the Window by A.J. Finn. If you enjoy that book, I think you'll like this one too. Also, Ruth Ware. Ruth Ware's book, One by One. If you read and loved that book, I think you'll enjoy Drowning by T.J. Newman. Okay, book 6 is my science fiction and fantasy selection. This book graced bookshelves on May 30th. It is now a celebrity book club pick. I think it's the Good Morning America book club selection. I like to say I selected it first in my reading guide because my reading guide was published before their announcement. I absolutely love this book and I was so happy to see it selected because I think it really should get the attention. And this book is entitled Ink, Blood, Sister, Scribe by Emma Torres. I think that's how you say her last name. But anyway, it's a really great fantasy. And it tells the story of two estranged half-sisters who are tasked with guarding their family's library of magical books. And I love a book about books. And I love a book about books that has magic involved. So they're tasked with guarding their family's library of magical books, and they must work together to unravel a secret that's in the core of their collection. So I know that's not much to go on, but I will say these books are written with the blood and bodies of people known as scribes. And these books, these are spell books and they're different collections and they are guarded. They're setting protection charms, they're trying to avoid them from being detected. And there are two sisters involved, one who's kind of away, one is back home, and then the sister who's away, for reasons I won't say, gets a note that she needs to return home, and her returning home is risking a lot, by the way. But there's also a connection between their libraries and someone else's. And because of that, it will keep you guessing throughout. This book is so well written, so well done. The world building is out of this world. I just feel this one is a must read. I highly recommend. So, the book I immediately thought of after reading this book was The Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern. So if you love The Starless Sea, this book is for you. I also thought about Ninth House by Lee Bardugo and The Once and Future Witches by Alex E. Harrow. So if you've read and loved any of those books, I highly recommend you add Ink, Blood, Sister, Scribe by Emma Torres to your reading list. Okay, book 7 is a romance, and my romance selection is Will They or Won't They by Ava Wilder. Now, this book comes out at the end of June 27th to be exact, but I really love this book. It's so well done. I selected Ava Wilder's book, her previous book. Her book came out last year, How to Fake It in Hollywood. That was in the summer reading guide last year. Now, it wasn't the minimalist list pick, but her new book that's coming the end of June was an absolute winner. It had to be the number one book this year. And this is entitled Will They or Won't They by Ava Wilder. Now, this book is a second chance romance where former lovers and co-stars who can't stand each other reunite to film the last season of their show. And it's clear that they're still attracted to each other, even though they hate each other, and even though they tried their hand at a relationship before and it ended miserably because, again, it's a second chance romance. I really love this book. If you want to read something that's set behind the scenes of, television, behind the scenes TV series, Hollywood life, I think this book is for you. I found it super interesting that she went back to kind of Hollywood, because her book last year was How to Fake It in Hollywood. So if you read that book last year and you loved it, which I thought that book was a winner too, I highly recommend you read this one. She has knocked it out the park twice, and I'll be speaking to her on the podcast soon. Can't say when that episode is going to drop, But this book is so good. Highly recommend. Outside of her book that came out last year, I would say if you read One to Watch by Kate Stayman London, I think you'll enjoy this one, because that one is kind of set with reality TV as the backdrop as well. So so if you're looking for a romance with reality TV series, Hollywood, behind the scenes kind of thing, I highly recommend you give Will They or Won't They by Ava Wilder a go. Okay, the last category on the list is cozy mysteries. And I absolutely adore a good cozy. And the cozy mystery I'm recommending you read this summer is oh so good. This book also releases at the end of June 27th, and the book I'm recommending is A Most Agreeable Murder by Julia Seals. This book is so good. It's set in 19th century England, and a wealthy bachelor drops dead at a ball, and a young lady who's spent hours dreaming about solving crimes finally has her moment to do so, because she has spent hours obsessing about the true crime cases that she's reading in the newspaper. And it's kind of her little secret, because if anyone found out about it, they would think she's incredibly odd. And it doesn't help that she's not good at things women of that time were expected to be good at, She's not good at dressmaking. She's not good at art. She's not good at music. She's not good at any of those things. But she loves reading the newspaper about the crime cases, and she imagines how she would go about solving it. So, our main character, who is obsessed with true crime, obviously, has to be on her best behavior so her sister can make a good match and save the family. But of course, someone drops dead at the ball. She jumps right in to save the day, and I just loved it. She also has to try and stop it before someone else is murdered. Like a good cozy, it gave me everything I needed. I really enjoyed this one. I think it's a great start to a series, hopefully. I'm really excited to see book 2, what book 2 would be like, but this one was just incredibly fun. Immediately reading this one, I thought about a cozy I had loved last year, and it was The Murder of Mr. Wickham by Claudia Gray. It's a cozy with Jane Austen characters and setting, and it's just very well done. The author has a book 2 out as well. Another book is The Maid by Nita Prose. So if you enjoyed The Maid by Nita Prose, I think you'll really enjoy A Most Agreeable Murder by Julia Seals. Okay, so those are the 8 books I'm highly recommending you read this summer. For literary fiction, I'm highly recommending The Three of Us by Ore Abaj Williams. Historical fiction, The Disenchantment by Celia Bell. Books with themes of family and friendship, The Collected Regrets of Clover by Mickey Brammer. My nonfiction selection is George by Frida Hughes. For mysteries and thrillers, I'm recommending Drowning by T.J. Newman. For science fiction and fantasy, Ink, Blood, Sister Scribe by Emma Torres. Romance, Will They or Won't They by Ava Wilder. And for cozy mysteries, I'm recommending A Most Agreeable Murder by Julia Seals. So readers, I hope you discovered some new books today and that you feel inspired to pick up a book or 2 from my list of 8 books to read this summer. I also expect your TBR is overflowing with all the books alike and books similar to recommendations I also shared today. And if that wasn't enough, I also want you, if you haven't already, to visit thesummerreadingguide.com to download your free copy of the 2023 Summer Reading Guide. As always, I'll include a link in the show notes so you can download your free copy of the guide there. Plus, I'll also include a link so you can access all the 8 books and the books-like recommendations I shared with you today. Oh, and before I forget, if you've read a book that you absolutely loved this summer, Even if it's not a book from this list of 8 or the books like or even the summer reading guide, I want to invite you to join our BYOB Club. Now, the BYOB Club stands for Bring Your Own Book. This is a book club where you can bring any book you want to our monthly meetings and tell us all about it. So this book club doesn't have an official book club pick. Instead, we invite you to read what you want and then come to the monthly meetings and tell us all about it. So no more book club picks, no assigned reading. You can read the books you want, you can read the books you have, you can read the books you want to read. So again, if you've read a really great book this summer, I want to invite you to the Bring Your Own Book BYOB Club and share it with us there. So I hope you'll join us. Visit BiblioLifestyle.com/community for more information on how you can become a member. So, if you're looking for your TBR to overflow, if you're looking to get reader-approved recommendations, this is the place to be. Again, that's BiblioLifestyle.com/community, or you can just go straight to BiblioLifestyle.com and select community from the main menu options. Alrighty, readers, that's it. Thank you so much for being here. Thanks for listening, and I'm looking forward to talking with you again soon. Bye for now. Thank you so much for listening to the Reader's Couch podcast. Please subscribe to the show, share it with a friend, and take a few seconds to leave a rating and review. Until next time, stay lounging, stay reading, and whenever you're in doubt, go straight to your local bookstore or library. Thanks again for listening, and happy reading.